Hey everyone, welcome to Matt's Garage. Let's throw some light on this radio face here. Okay, I'm going to go over two things I've gotten done or have made progress on. I get into a lot of detail in this build, as you guys know, probably more than some people like. I mean, I know you want to just see sparks fly and things get done, but that's not how rebuilding works. See my rant from a couple days ago. So I'm just going to show you my thinking and what's going on specifically with speaker mounting, so hidden speakers and cage modifications. It may seem like to a lot of people I'm actually jumping around a lot, but I have my list here that sort of I go back to for guidance. So, and actually this was almost like an acquire or design list, and a lot of this has already been acquired, but I haven't installed or done the modification yet. So obviously, like electrical, I have the kit, I just haven't installed it. Heater, I have the heater. I bought a Core Sport. Rust, that's in part. Fuel, I already know what my fuel system is. It's all done, I just haven't done the work. Anyway, so right now, I've done the steering column, meaning I bought it, and I have the dash, I'm working that, and gauges, I know which gauges I'm using. So that's just period of the build I'm in right now. The reason why I'm going the way I am is there's a method to the madness. Basically, the way I look at it is I ultimately need to get into and done with bodywork before the summer's out, if I can at all, while it's still warm. And then I can take my sweet time with mechanical when the weather cools down a little bit. But the paint has temperature dependent, right? So I want it on a nice warm day. And I only have about 2 months of those left here, maybe, if I'm lucky, okay? So in order for me to do the body work, I need to not have any more holes in the body. In order for me to fill the body holes, I need to know which holes I need and which ones I don't, and then put new holes where I need them. That leads me to the dash, because there's a lot of stuff underneath, right? And I want to be able to fix it and have it in the right spot and not go drilling self-tappers into a newly painted body. It's not Concours, I know, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So that's why I was tackling the speakers, because speakers typically go in the dash, and I really didn't want to do that. Then the cage is the second part, because of where the cage legs go will determine which holes I need in the bed and which ones I need to close. So enough talky talk, let me show you what I got going on. First, speakers. So I'm reusing my Kenwood two-way speakers. These are 4 inchers. I went on The Bay and bought these $29 for a pair of these 4-inch boxes, and then I modified them. You can see the screw. What I did was, you can't see in there, but that hole has actually got a 1/4 nut pointing back to the outside, and there's a tab. I basically took a tab of metal, put a nutsert in it, left enough room on the tab for a screw hole, and I bolted this tab to the inside here, and that holds that nutsert steady. I got one on each side. Then I bought a whole bunch of these cheap connector thingies, and I soldered all the connections inside, so I never have to take the speaker out if I did it right. It's a big if. And I'll just slide it in, bolt it on, and stick the 2 wires in the quick connect. Let me show you what I mean by putting it in there. So here is the cowl. I've obviously pulled the dash, and under the cowl here I've got these 2 tabs that I located and welded on. The welds aren't pretty, I'm not at that stage yet, but basically that goes right there. Bolts in. Now this is the other side. If this was the correct side, then you'd be able to see the wire connector there. But I've got the same thing on the other side. The other side was trickier because I had to navigate the the pedal hanger and the e-brake cable bracket. So because of the way that Scout cowl works, actually, you can't. The dash is limited. That's why the Scout stock dash sticks out so far at the top, because the way the cowl comes up, you need to get everything off of the cowl for there to be room. Since the Bronco dash is pretty set back into the cowl, I can't go too high. So that means my areas for gauges and stereos and switches and things is limited. So to chew up dash space for the speakers, I don't like it. Plus having speakers in a metal dash, not good for acoustics. Plus having one speaker close to your left ear and the other one far from your right ear kind of messes up the sound. Now you can change the balance, but then when you have a passenger, then it's going to be like all right speaker to them. So putting it up under the dash actually corrects the sound imaging because it gets both speakers closer to an equal distance from your ears. So that's way too geeky. I'm just telling you the thinking. Then for the rear speakers, I basically bought the same boxes but 5-inch, and I have a 6-inch speaker, but I can massage the circle cutout to clear the braces for the 6-inch speaker in the 5-inch box, and then it'll be a super tight little package. I'm going to mount those to my cage. Now, that brings me to my cage. So why did I modify my cage? A couple things. One is the rear cage went way back into the back of the bed. So what's the purpose of the cage? To protect people, right? I mean, you roll your vehicle, having the cage be 2 feet further back in the bed makes no difference. Like, the truck's going to be wrecked, right? You have to fix it. So to protect people. So in that sense, the cage was extending too far back, and by doing so, it chewed up a lot of valuable real estate in their bed. So that was one. Two, I put in the Thunder thighs, and the way the angle of the original cage was going was basically not even landing on the Thunder thighs, so it wasn't in the right spot. Three, where it was in the back was in a place where there was no crossbar. Now, to be a proper sort of high-speed rollover protection, it needs to be tied to the frame. But that's not the intent of this cage. The intent of this cage is really a low-speed rollover while rock crawling, just to keep things from collapsing in on the passengers. So I'm not as worried about it like punching through the steel, but I would like the cage to be sitting on structural body members, at least, like the crossbars underneath the bed support. And it wasn't doing that. And because it was in sort of like a no man's land of flat sheet metal, it was just doing this when I'd roll down the road. And you can see actually that the metal has started to get wavy, where that the two plates are basically just kind of becoming a shear, basically. So that's no bueno. But if you're going to cut a cage up and re-weld it, there's a way to do it. So let me just show you what I've done and sort of how the design is coming out. So if you can imagine, that bar used to be all the way back there, this up bar. And actually, this is still 6 inches too far back. It's going to come 6 inches forward there. So I'm going to come in closer. This is how I'm connecting it, basically. It's a slug. This is 1.5 inch 120 wall, and in there is an 1.5 inch and a quarter 120 wall, which slides perfectly in there, and it extends like that much. I've drilled holes all around. I haven't done it on this side because I'm going to shorten it even more. But basically, that slug extends all the way through. You do a rosette weld and then go around the perimeter, and then you have a very strong roll bar joint. I'm going to stick the camera in here. You can see, first of all, you can see where this is just totally, that's what I'm talking about. This was the plate. This was the plate holes, these 4, and then you can see where the corner of the plate was just digging into the metal. And this is a no man's land of support. So I'm going to push this up to the wheel well, which is a much better supported area of the bed. Right now it's just mocked up into place because I needed the back of the roll cage to like hold the front down, because I have no front support, because here I've done the same thing. I've made a slug, as you can see better there. And then I need to make a plate. I'm going to make basically a plate here to sit on top of this so I can bolt that in. I want this all to be removable. That's kind of how the cage is coming. I'm going to do tabs. I'm going to mount the speakers here. I don't know where I'm going to put the high lift. The high lift was there originally. I'm thinking about putting it on the front bumper. But having this pushed forward, I can now fit my compressed air here and my Bazooka subwoofer, which is really important for off-roading. But as far as the dash goes, I'm really not happy with this gauge pod bezel thing. It's too square. It's too square, but I'm learning, right? So I got the angle of the steering column right and that, but the design's not good. Yeah, I'm not happy with the dash, but I'll figure it out. Trial and error. My neighbor offered to model it, like in 3D modeling software. That seems like overkill. I'd rather just design it, but he's a smart guy, so I'll probably listen to him. Now I got my speakers figured out. I got my cage figured out. Once I get the plates where I want them, then I'm going to weld all the holes shut that I don't need in the bed. Once I do that, then I can do rubberized undercoating on the bottom. And I'm not going to redo because the bottom already has rubberized undercoating. It's in good shape and there's no rust down there. So I'm just going to patch rubberized undercoat the places where I need to weld. So I'll prime it and undercoat it. And then once that's done, there's nothing keeping me from mounting my tank. And when I mount my tank, then I can mount my EF5 pumps and all that stuff into the tank. And now that's a huge bunch of space that's freed up in my office. So like there's a method to my madness. I'm trying to get stuff that is permanent onto the Scout. And also once I finish welding up the holes, then I can do body filler where I need to, and then epoxy the bed and up to the cowl on the inside, and then up and over here and the firewall. So that's sort of where I'm going. There's no way I'm going to get all this done for paint in 2 months, but I'm going to stay ambitious. You know, Mrs. Matt's Garage has been pretty cool about giving me garage time, so we'll see. Anyway, I'll see you next time on Matt's Garage.